After Empire Strikes Back, where of course all the models were done at Industrial Light and Magic back in San Francisco. So on Empire Strikes Back, which I worked on it for exactly 1 year, 52 weeks from beginning to end. And Brian Johnson didn't have anything immediately following on. One of the guys on the crew, Andrew Kelly, who I'd also worked with on Alien, he was part of the model shop. And he and I were friends, and he got offered Superman 2 and in the model shop for Derek Meddings, and suggested to Terry Reid, who ran the model shop, that because Terry needed more people, so he recommended me, and I started on Superman 2 straight after Empire Strikes Back. First time I worked in Pinewood, in Terry's workshop, Shed 7, it was called, up towards the Bond stage in Pinewood. And I guess I worked on Superman 2 for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months. And the things that stand out in my memory of Superman 2 were two things. There was the helicopter crashing into the barn sequence. I made the barns, basically. That was the first job I had on that job. Terry asked me, could I make breakaway barns out of balsa wood? So I made two of those, desperately trying to keep my head down and impress with my skill and ability. And having made the barns, there were also bits and pieces, background. The art department made the background. I think there was a farmhouse in the background, perhaps another building. The other guys in the shop were making telegraph poles, the other details we needed for the shot. And then they found a location out in a place called Burnham Beaches, but basically a big open pasture. So then we worked for a few days setting up the shot, which involved radio-controlled helicopters, which were made outside. There were some aero modelers that were hired to make the radio-controlled helicopters. It was fantastic. So we dressed the set. The cameras were in place. Everything was ready to go. And okay, get the helicopter moving, turn the camera. So the radio control guy started flying the helicopter. It lifted up off the ground and immediately flipped over onto its back and crashed. No problem, he said, we've got another one. So he wheeled out helicopter number 2, and exactly the same thing happened. It took off, got about 3 meters off the ground, flipped over and crashed into the ground. That was the end of that day. So then we were faced with a problem, because the set was all ready to go and we didn't have any more helicopters. So Derek's physical effects crew that evening knocked up a very simple sort of boom arm on a swivel. There was another helicopter, luckily, that didn't have any motors or radio control gear, but they put an electric motor in to make the rotors move, and swung a helicopter hanging from wires on the end of this huge boom arm, smashing it into my model barn, which had been laced up with pyrotechnics. So at the point when the helicopter hit the building, they let off the explosions, and the barn exploded. And because we only had one helicopter, it was a one-shot effect. So that was the first thing I did on Superman 2. The second thing was to make vehicles for the flying sequences, the miniature flying sequences. They built a big metropolis set, which was a strange scale. I think it was 1:8. That's right. It was a 1:8 scale. Very strange. This was pre-metric. On the 007 stage, they built this long metropolis street set with lots of shops, and we needed to dress it. So all the shop windows had to be dressed with miniature 1:8 scale dressing, according to whatever the shops were. And then we needed lots of cars, and 1/8 scale was not an easy scale to find plastic kits. So I carved in gelatong sort of generic American car that we could then make yellow cabs out of. So I carved a gelatong block into a car, and we took glass fiber molds of that and knocked out a number of them, which we could paint different colors and make yellow cabs and passenger cars. And also a petrol tanker. I had to make a 1/8 scale petrol tanker to match a real one that was being used on the first unit set on the back lot at Pinewood. And on the same set, John Brown, who was part of the model crew, had made miniature flying figures of all the main characters, which we could fly down wires. And I also made a Volkswagen that was blown with an air mortar through a shop window. While this is going on, the back lot was just across the way from our model shop, from Shed 7. So I could see all the first unit work going on while we were making the models. It was great. It was lots of fun. I wasn't aware of Donna leaving even. I was so far away from first unit work that really it made no effect on me. And I had nothing to do with the Eiffel Tower model either. I think that was pretty much an art department job. I wasn't directly involved with working on the Eiffel Tower model. It was pretty much for me the Metropolis street flying scenes with cars sliding about and crashing, and the helicopter and barn sequence. They were the two parts that I was involved in.